Akira Ichijo, a regular salaryman, learns of his agonizing death in a nightmare. He heads home to find his nightmare coming to real life. Akira is granted a level-up system before reincarnating in his office again. The world is supposed to end every time, no matter what Akira does, and he can't escape anywhere to protect himself. Despite the system's blessings, the monsters in this world also get stronger every night, exponentially boosting their abilities. Akira's determination to protect Nanase Nao, his superior, leads him to pursue a painful journey, confronting the monster of his nightmares. Akira Ichijo muses how anyone could fantasize about reincarnation in another world. He thinks that fighting against monsters should have been the norm for him, or perhaps chasing the all-powerful harem route, finding a chick, and laying down his pipe. Life isn't all that pretty or that kind to him, because the man, who is clinging to his life, desperate to escape the terrifying monster, thinks that he should never have had the luck of coming to this world. His body received the same treatment as our favorite side character from Jujutsu Kaisen, the one with the blue eyes. Akira's first death is recorded in the system. Strangely, the system remarks that the conditions have been fulfilled, and thus he's unlocked a unique skill. Akira Ichijo regains consciousness in an office. It's funny how God sent him to the next worst thing after a monster, a corporate 9-to-5 slave working job. Anyway, Akira's out here anxious like hell because he was just getting devoured by the monster. Thankfully, in this world, his legs are still intact, unlike what happened moments ago. Akira sees Sayama, who gestures at him to the person standing behind him. The crazy supervisor chick Nanase gives him a headlock, as if this man hasn't faced the worst of it already, barely surviving a monster. She calls him a pathetic loser for slacking off on his shift. Akira recalls the so-called nightmare being real as hell. Nanase thinks that he's getting burnt out. Because of Nanase, Akira the Virgin is busy with a rod situation. Nanase notices that this man's eyes look dead as hell, like he's some kind of zombie. Interestingly, Akira sees Nanase glitching the F out, like he's in the Matrix or some sort of simulation. Akira questions his senses, as if he's nostalgic of the conversation. After his shift, Akira reflects on his predicament. It's almost as if everything that's happened so far is already ingrained in his memories. The man thinks he's gone psycho in his 20s, which isn't surprising considering his experiences. Suddenly, Akira feels frightened at the familiar sound, a sound that signals a heavy object being dragged on the streets. Terrified, Akira's eyes widen as he sees the exact Minotaur monster that previously ended his life. This giant behemoth could give anyone a heart attack, let alone poor Akira, who'd already been killed by the thing once. Akira's crapping bricks in his pants and thinks that it must be a fake. The mad monster roars in his face, forcing Akira's body to run at incredible speeds, thinking that he'll die. Akira's mind rejects the thought of dying. However, the approaching monstrosity is too much for him. With a swing of his weapon, Akira is launched to the nearest wall, his body receiving heavy injuries in the process. Akira experiences pain unlike before, and has lost all sensation in his legs. Lo and behold, Akira's lower body has been ripped in half, resting in front of him. Such a horrifying sight is given even more terror when the monster picks it up and devours Akira's lower half. Even though this man's life is ending in gruesome ways, he's out here thinking that he couldn't lose his virginity. Akira's vision turns into a blur, and just when he's about to die, the system screen appears before him, relaying him a message. Akira's got a whole new task, and it is to defeat the C-rank Minotaur. Right now, he doesn't really care about the impossible quest, given that he's trash, and the only balls he had in him are now resting in the monster's belly. Akira dies a second time, regaining consciousness in front of the same desk. This time, he's really out of it. Akira sees the system screen, which relays the message of failure to him. Akira doesn't know what it means, and the system screen rewards him with a bronze trophy for embracing his second death, and even increases his stats. Akira's out here experiencing 15 WTF moments by the hour, and doesn't know what the system wants from him. Nanase comes ranting in his ears, and once again notices that he's exhausted. In an act of desperation, Akira points to the weird screen he's able to see. However, Nanase doesn't even know what this man is yapping about. Akira faces an oh shit moment when he comes to the realization no one can see what he sees. Nanase gives the man a headlock, but if she snapped his head using her thighs, perhaps Akira's misery would have ended. Out in the park, Akira contemplates his situation. He knows one thing for sure: he keeps returning to the past, and following that trajectory, this dude is about to lose his balls for the third time. Akira can't even fathom facing the Minotaur, who keeps stealing his family jewels from him. He comes up with a cocky plan to just avoid going home, as if that's going to change everything. Akira's fully confident in this strategy. Instead of going home, the man returns to the office in a safe environment. Even though he's by himself in the cold, Akira is forced to sleep while pondering his thoughts. The following day, Akira wakes up and realizes that he has actually survived until the next day. At this point, Akira is celebrating because he's escaped the cycle of death. Akira happily takes his coffee, but finds himself surprised to find no one in the workplace. Akira has also been hearing a painful siren, and then suddenly an earthquake rumbles through the building. Akira checks the window and sees hordes and hordes of gigantic, terrifying monsters. These creatures are slaughtering the cities apart. The corporate slave is questioning his existence. Just when he thought that his life was going to change for the better, everything went to hell. Akira decides to use the power of the internet to his advantage. To his horror, he learns that the world is being ravaged and destroyed by the monsters. Mankind has quite possibly been exterminated while he was asleep, leaving Akira to question if he's the only person alive. Akira rushes to find people. He sees Sayama sitting on a bench and feels grateful that at least his friend is alive. Akira's face turns to horror when he sees Sayama's body being torn apart by a goblin. The worst part is that the goblin has spotted Akira, forcing him to consider his options. This kind of creature would only appear in your nightmares. The goblin's grotesque and horrifying face makes him lose all courage. The goblin pounces to attack Akira, who, in response, throws his cell phone at the monster like the idiot he is. The goblin stomps him to the ground, despite being a low-level monster. Before Akira even has the chance to react, the beast bashes his skull with a powerful attack. Akira's face is bloodied as he begins losing consciousness. He's surprised that the monster stopped attacking him. Using this moment, Akira counters with a punch so powerful that the goblin is sent crashing into the wall. This man has received Superman's powers all of a sudden, because what in the actual frick was that? Akira thinks that it's impossible for him to have done that, and for him to survive a heavy attack. Akira wonders if his stats had anything to do with the fact. Seeing the monster get up, Akira gets on top, ready to give him generational level hands from the Heian era. Akira shit-talks the goblin, before crushing the goblin with its own club. Akira gains newfound determination to survive, after destroying the goblin's face to smithereens. However, defeating the monster also exhausted his own strength. Akira is annoyed that he has to look at this dude's ugly face as he rests on the ground. The system greets him with a level up notification after getting smoked in his 3 lives. Thankfully, Akira received boosts, allowing his body to gain incredible strength. At the same time, he can't help his condition by losing consciousness. The cruel game restarts, and Akira goes back to where he had always begun. After turning a deaf ear to Nanase's pointless ranting, Akira runs as fast as he can, and has confirmed his ability to return to the past before the entire world faces destruction. Akira's resolve shatters as he crumbles to despair, not knowing if he can do anything. The system greets Akira with a status screen. He has acquired points from his previous level increases. Akira learns that everything he gains in his earlier life is sure to be accessed in the future. He can't fathom how the ending of the world has become a game. Although he's got a dozen questions, Akira's confidence rises as he now intends to survive the bullshit reality against all odds. Akira knows from his future memories that the world will be attacked by monstrous beings. He's died more than enough times to acknowledge that reality. Akira, like the boastful idiot he is, yells out his resolve and gets slapped in the head by Nanase for shouting. Nanase thinks that this dude's actually lost it because the others have already gone home. Akira tells her that he's going to stay for a bit. Nanase goes up in his face, trying to work an overnight shift. She demands that he go home while she takes care of his work. Nanase's unstoppable death glare is more ferocious than the monsters Akira faced. Akira ponders his chances and realizes that he's 100% getting smoked by the Minotaur upon returning home. The dude strikes a pose like he's a JoJo character or some crap. The system does react to his chant, displaying his current status. Akira wonders if the screen is interactable. He learns that it is, and discovers his passive skill status. Akira's regression skill is the reason he returns to life after he dies. He manages to swipe across the screen, and learns that it's possible to increase his stats and even acquire new skills. Inspecting the skill inventory, Akira is startled to see dozens of skills in the system. He gets excited, but at the same time doesn't know what a skill like flirting would do. Since he's a dumb virgin, the dude is tempted to even purchase the skill. Akira requires at least 3 points to obtain a skill, but currently, he only has 2. Nanase sees him talking to himself and realizes that this man is still loafing around, even after she does all of his work. Nanase tells him that Akira is perhaps the only employee who is respecting a really shady rule. Akira thinks that he should prioritize leveling up his skills. He parts away from Nanase and heads home. Nanase stops him before delivering a philosophical essay because she thinks that Akira is troubled and needs consulting. Nanase finds herself supremely flustered, extending her offer despite being Akira's superior. She runs off, but the only thing that's on Akira's mind is Nanase's inevitable demise as the world goes to hell. Akira remembers how badly he got injured after a single fight with the goblin. Right now, he's betting on Nanase's ability to deal with the situation by herself. Akira heads to the grocery store to stockpile what he needs to survive. Most importantly, this fool is buying adult magazines like the buffoon he is when the world is about to collapse. Akira thinks that he should definitely avoid the Minotaur near his house. He wonders if the monsters are already swarming the world by now. Akira taps into the internet and learns that people are freaking out. There are goblins and dragon sightings everywhere. The reason Akira freaked himself out is because he's going to fight these level 200 monsters, too. The clock strikes 3, and Akira is geared up to level up some more. He comes outside to see vacant streets, questioning if the monsters have yet to arrive in this location. Akira approaches a vehicle to find a man's face slaughtered. His disgusting remains physically repulse Akira's body as expected of a human's reaction. Unfortunately for Akira, it's a sight that he thinks he'll have to get used to. A commotion attracts Akira's attention, leading him to the direction of the monsters. Akira sees a horde of goblins surrounding the policemen. The policemen, terrified, are incapable of shooting them down. Right now, Akira could help them, but it would put his own life in danger. Akira thinks that it will be all sunshine and rainbows, since the policemen are armed. To his dismay, the system appoints him a new quest, demanding that he slay 100 goblins. Akira is startled, because the system recorded the outcome of his previous battle as a loss. He thinks the request is insanely unreasonable. The goblins begin their onslaught by actively killing civilians. The policemen are cowards who barely have the courage to shoot. One of them shoots down the goblin, only for the creature to get back up again and slaughter him for it. Akira realizes that these goblins possess inhuman endurance, making them impossible to win against. Akira's only option is to run for his own life. As he is prioritizing his life, Akira unfortunately spots Nanase. Contradicting his own thoughts, Akira paces to save Nanase and attacks the goblin. Nanase is surprised to see him, the same as Akira. Nanase wants him to run, but Akira is out here wanting to play the hero. Wielding a knife, Akira thinks that the moment is his, especially when he thinks about Nanase's kind consideration of him. Akira, receiving a badass panel, feels that he should return Nanase's favors. The horde of goblins make their advance. Akira responds promptly and manages to slash all 3 of them with incredible speed. Nanase is left speechless, seeing him take down so many of them in an instant. She's out here having an existential crisis about Akira. Funnily enough, Akira's brave pursuit turns in the opposite direction, as he screams at her to run. This is because there are way more goblins than he initially thought. Instead of the hero saving the day, he half-assed the job, and now wants to make a run for it. Akira equips Nanase like nothing, and makes a run for it. After coming to a safe distance, Nanase calls him an idiot for doing so much, instead of prioritizing his life. At the same time, the chick is grateful and flushed out. Akira ponders if he can truly protect her in the apocalyptic world to come. Akira patches up Nanase, and even shares his food supplies with her. Nanase catches the sight of the adult magazine, and grows extremely flustered. Akira is embarrassed, but he deserves to get destroyed for that. Instead of scaring the only hoe away, Nanase becomes embarrassed and tries to validate him. Outside, Akira thinks that they should be suitable for the time being, and asks Nanase what she was doing in the middle of the night. Nanase claims that she wanted to get Monster to recover her energy. Nanase mentions the horrifying sight as she saw bundles of people slaughtered before her very own eyes. She couldn't understand how things could take a sudden shift so suddenly. Akira states that the monsters are repeatedly devouring without end, and guns are totally ineffective. This means that the military will also be useless. Akira tells her that it's likely everything will be destroyed tomorrow. Nanase grimaces that the world has already ended right now. Akira questions his thoughts, but doesn't know why his system isn't reacting to them. That's when he realizes the possibility of Nanase also possessing the system. Before he's able to interrogate her, Nanase falls asleep from her exhaustive state. Akira knows for a fact that the office will be safe for the few hours to come. Using the only time he has, Akira wants to train his levels. He tells Nanase that he'll return in One Piece. Not in a One Piece episode, more like One Piece, unlike Gojo Satoru. Akira comes outside to throw some god-level hands and run some fades with these monsters. He thinks that his only chance of defeating a monster comes from goblins. Akira doesn't want to overextend and sees a building on fire from near the city. Akira doesn't want to explore dangerous locations and hides to observe with caution. He sees a gigantic bee that would be nightmare fuel for most people. The giant bees have literally made human skewers for a human BBQ later. Akira is curious as to where the bees are taking them. He heads into the alleyway and realizes that a man-eating plant is going to devour him. Wherever he looks, trouble finds him. Akira spots a creature from afar rushing in his direction. He loses his mind, realizing that he's about to get tackled out of the freaking solar system by the monstrous boar. Finding no place to hide, Akira dashes to his right. He is barely able to escape the boar's attack, and before he can even think about his next move, a goblin finds him. Akira thinks about running yet again, but then thinks that he's playing the role of a coward instead of leveling up his stats. Akira prepares his knife to take out the solo goblin. He stabs the monster with a single thrust, but knowing their high endurance stats, Akira tries to confirm the kill. However, just a typical knife is unable to pierce the goblin's skull fully. The goblin throws a powerful punch across his face. Annoyed, Akira delivers a charge slash, ripping off the goblin's head clean and winning the fight. Akira receives a level up notification and learns that his quest status has also been updated. With the creature defeated, Akira thinks that he's still not used to killing beasts. Suddenly, the voice of a helpless woman from nearby catches his attention. The woman is massively injured, missing her limbs. Akira questions if the goblins are responsible for this kind of thing. However, the pile of bodies just behind signals that there is a creature who only feasts on people's lower halves. Akira connects the dots and realizes that these humans are nothing more than stocks of food for them. And what he's about to face is not one but dozens of goblins. Akira thinks this is the worst situation for him, because they're definitely going to destroy him. The dude tries to fool the goblins with the oldest trick in the world. As expected, even the goblins are more intelligent than this dumbass and continue to chase after him. Akira runs outside thanks to his incredible speed. He is surrounded by more goblins and looks to the escalator to escape using the second floor. Unfortunately, dozens of goblins are there in anticipation. Akira literally gets swarmed by the monsters as they begin to tear apart his flesh. Even though Akira's death is imminent, he thinks about Nanase, wondering what will happen to her. Remembering to honor the promise he made with Nanase, Akira channels into his main character's epic energy and drives away from the goblins. He taps into his status skill, which informs him he can tap into new skills. Akira suddenly remembers he could access skills because of his saved points. He doesn't have time and picks physical enhancement. Akira hurls a single punch with attack potency so powerful that it shatters the head of every goblin in his path. He's shocked that his skills are much more powerful. Akira feels proud of his strength and learns that each of his stats is immensely boosted after acquiring the skill. With more goblins surrounding him, Akira is ready to face them with a determined smile. He literally destroys them with a single punch, thinking he's Saitama or something. Akira earns the bronze trophy for slaying many goblins. By the end of the bloody battle, the human is the one standing as the victor. Akira worships his brand new skill, and also learns that he jumped many times in his levels. Even though he expected for a more significant increase, the screen issues him a reward for completing the subjugation quest of slaying 100 goblins. Even Akira is stunned, because he didn't realize just how many goblins he had faced just now. Akira wonders about his reward and learns that he acquired 12 points all at once. With 16 points in total, Akira thinks that this is the best opportunity to stockpile a bunch of skills. In a different location, the beastly minotaur responsible for killing Akira in his previous lives is hunting for the human. With 16 points at his disposal, Akira gets to work. He wants to acquire skills and observe his options. Akira thinks that if his emphasis was on safety, he would get scouting skills like enemy detection. There are also leveling systems associated with each skill, allowing for increases in the future. Akira sees the physical enhancement skill as requiring 20 points to upgrade to level 2. Even though he wants to do it, he doesn't have enough points to rack up the purchase. Impulsively, he chooses analysis as a skill, and thinks that he should analyze his options before engaging in a fight. An intelligent decision by him, as he'd be able to rack up a bunch of points to collectively spend on the physical enhancement upgrade. Testing his analysis skill, Akira appraises the dead goblin and sees the basic stats. He is shocked to learn that the goblins possess excellent stamina, making them incredibly difficult to defeat. Realizing that it's about time to head home, Akira steps out of the building. He's surprised to confront a pair of gray wolves, both of which boast much more vital stats than him. Akira ponders his chances of victory. The wolves disappear in a flash, using their incredible speed. Akira gets cocky, thinking that they got scared of his big dick energy or something. Remembering that it's not the best time to make a comedy, the man tries to resume his journey. However, something feels off. It's as if the environment around him has grown to be far quieter than before. The sound of a giant's footsteps approaches him, a sound that Akira is all too familiar with. What is approaching Akira is the same behemoth minotaur with its terrifying axe. Akira is struck with paralyzing fear and senses that he must have been the reason for the weird atmosphere. Akira's current dilemma is whether or not he should turn tail. His cockiness gets the better of him, so he tries to analyze the minotaur's level. When Akira learns that this creature is nearly level 50, he literally loses all hope, because he doesn't even possess a 1% chance of beating it. Akira's running speed is eclipsed in the flash of a second, as the monster possesses terrifying speeds. The full force of the Minotaur's swing literally sends Akira flying across buildings, turning this battle into a Dragon Ball Z fight more than anything. Akira, with his body aching with injuries, still gets up to escape from the vicinity of the beast. He tries to return to Nanase, however, the system tells him that the world's inversion rate has exceeded 1%, and thus the monsters will regain more of their powers. Akira thinks that his situation has only worsened if the monsters have yet to restore their actual full power. The Minotaur crashes in front of him, but only this time, it's double the strength from last time. Akira literally gives up, as his fourth death gets recorded by the system. Akira's eyes reopen, and he gets scared to the point that he grabs Nanase for comfort. Nanase delivers a more powerful attack than the Minotaur, sending this man to the ground. Akira is now terrified of his situation, and thinks that he quite possibly might be stuck in this haunting loop forever. Level 45 was enough as it was, but now that the Minotaur's strength has doubled, Akira doesn't know what to do, not to mention the fact that the monsters are regaining their true strengths based on the inversion rate. Akira remembers the inversion rate reaching 1% around noon. He heads off to the Kanagawa province, providing himself with the maximum amount of insurance by his side. Akira thinks that he should only accompany Nanase when he's found a safe location. The cab driver spots a boar in front of the road. Akira is shocked that the monsters are appearing sooner than last time. Nothing about this situation feels right to him. The driver is forced to stop the car, after being frightened of what is in front of him. A vehicle has been split in half, and the high-level orc has set its sights on its next victim. Akira tells his man to speed the hell up, but there's no point. The orc swings its weapon and crushes the car like a pinata. Akira's fifth death is recorded as he wakes up again. He no longer ponders the chances of driving to other cities. Akira travels by train in the hopes of getting there sooner. However, the train begins to float in the air. A monster the size of King Kong has taken the term subway literally. The monster crushes the train, once again resetting Akira's chances. Now, he's convinced that there is nothing that he can do to remedy his situation. Akira will be killed if he runs away. He will be killed by the Minotaur if he goes home, and he will be killed even if he escapes through the sea. Endless monsters, paired with his never-ending reset skill, have led him to a miserable situation. Akira resurrects, and this time, just tells Nanase he's going home. He's been itching to try something, and has lost all sense of reason. Akira wonders if a self-deletion attempt will reset him of this hellscape. So he comes to the rooftop, and begs God for the sweet release of death. However, before his fall, Nanase grabs him, and stops him from falling. Nanase is glad that she followed up with him to this point. Akira tells her that he's okay. Nanase senses something, and demands that he share a drink with her. They arrive at a bar, where Nanase encourages Akira to drink at his leisure. Of course, drinks aren't the first thing on his mind right now. Nanase tells him that he's free to do whatever he likes, as long as he can beat her at the drinking game. Akira tries to follow through with the challenge, but ultimately, this drunkard alcoholic, Nanase, steals the victory from him. Nanase tells him that it's been some time since they shared a conversation with each other. She reminds him of some memories of despair he had. Nanase thinks that Akira's current expression is the same. She wants to hear him out. Akira says that the world will end in a few hours. Instead of calling him crazy, Nanase inquires for proof. Akira tells her that in only a couple minutes, there will be news threads of sightings of a dragon in China. She checks her phone and becomes shocked to see the same thread. Akira tells her that he's been regressing his life constantly because of a skill he acquired. Akira requests Nanase to use the chant status. Surprisingly, a screen appears in front of her after she does. Nanase thinks she's had too many drinks, but Akira explains that it's the same as him, except he's got a skill to resurrect constantly. Nanase is starting to believe him and realizes that he's grown depressed because of his despairing situation. Akira tells her that he's already been involved in 15 regressions. Nanase asks what happened to the world. Akira has only bad things to say, but the most notable aspect is that the Minotaur monster kills all the people. Akira doesn't have information about what happens after noon. That's because the monsters always grow stronger after the fact, and thus the enhanced Minotaur tracks him down no matter the location. Akira tells her about his despairing situation and crumbles before Nanase because he has lost all hope. Akira releases his frustration, stating how painful it is for him to survive in the hellhole. He gets up and tries to leave, begging to be left alone as he's tired of the world. Nanase chugs another drink before shouting her disappointment at the man. She tells him to sit back down because they're not done talking. The drunk bitch actually gives this man a suplex, once again reminding us all that Nanase is the most powerful being in the universe. Nanase thinks that he's actually stupid and hasn't even tried defeating the Minotaur before it reaches its enhanced state. Akira reasons that he no longer sees any path to salvation for their world. He tells her about the higher level monsters just waiting to slaughter him, even if he does defeat the Minotaur. Nanase thinks that he's stupid for giving up. She beats the crap out of him. Akira shoves her away and states that he can only give up in this situation. He selfishly wants his own death, no longer possessing the will to survive. Nanase hears his painstaking words, her tears streaming down her eyes. Nanase consoles him by saying she'll be his ally until the very end. Akira thinks that he betrayed her, but Nanase states that her only desire is to share laughter and drinks with him. Realizing that he's in extreme pain, Nanase wants to support Akira, begging him not to off-screen himself like an idiot. Akira comes to an enlightenment. He had promised to protect Nanase, but he couldn't even live up to that promise. Nanase whines like a baby, and later regrets embarrassing herself in front of him. Akira asks her for water, but Nanase is far too embarrassed. Akira laughs and thinks that she is trying too hard to be serious. Akira chugs a drink and tells her that he's going to fight the Minotaur. He doesn't want Nanase to accompany him because of his slim chances, knowing that he'll have to repeat the time loop. Nanase realizes that they'll have to say goodbye. Akira promises to save Nanase, no matter how many times he has to go through the same loop again. Best Girl tells him she'll be waiting for her charming prince. Akira reflects that the Minotaur is sure to destroy the entire city soon. That means the only way for him to save most of the people is to avoid running away. Akira is determined to face and defeat the monster of his nightmares. Akira's struggling life continues. He needs to level up immensely in order to catch up to the monster's skill. Since Akira is failing to level up significantly through the goblins, his only chance is to look for other monsters closer to his current level. Akira follows a hallway to locate a bunch of trash cans. Akira is cautious and thinks that a goblin might be hiding inside. He's prepared to deal the killing blow until he sees that it's just the cake of a high school girl. The girl pounces on him for help, stating that she's looking for her little sister. Akira understands her situation and tells her to stop holding on to him. She calls him an old dude. That's how you know you've grown up. Akira snaps free of his hand because he can't precisely punch the monsters with the girl. His primary focus is to level up still, avoiding unnecessary confrontations like this one. The girl is as scared as anyone would be. She wants to look for her little sister, who is frightened of the monsters. Akira locates a vine on the ground and instructs her to avoid stepping on it. The girl panics and stupidly falls in front of the vine. Thankfully, Akira catches her and thinks that, at this rate, he's definitely doomed. They both make a run for it after seeing Mai's backpack. Akira sees the level 9 cannibal plant. The girl's little sister is about to become monster sushi. Akira tells her to avoid drawing near. He tries to risk his life in order to save the girl. Akira slashes the plant, only to get himself launched to the nearest wall. His chances of defeating the creature are next to nothing with the current weapon. Akira thinks that his current rate of progress is sure to get everyone killed. Mai's sister equips balls of steel and tries to help out Mai. She faces her fears, all in the name of saving her little sister. Seeing the girl's courage, Akira regains his resolve as he tears apart the monster in half. Akira levels up at last and becomes glad that he was able to help the two sisters reunite with each other. Both of them thank him. Akira is sharing his one moment of peace when it gets utterly taken away from him. The girls he just saved no longer had their heads attached. The horror of this traumatizing sight startles Akira as he gets ready to face a frightening beast. The monster called the Man-Eater is a cut above Akira's skills. He thinks that his only option is to run, but at the same time, Akira is severely pissed and in the mood to kill anyone in his way. Akira advances in his fight against the monster, thinking that he should avoid getting hit even once. The monster's stats have low defenses, meaning he has a slim chance of defeating the creature. Akira's weapon gets split in half. The dude is fed up and puts 100% of his strength into the world's most potent weapon, a punch. The punch obliterates the monster to pieces. When Akira thinks he's won the battle, the beast easily regenerates. Akira is incapable of dodging its strike mid-air and gets launched several hundred meters away. Barely able to stand on his 2 feet, Akira sees the innocent lives slaughtered in unreasonable ways. At the same time, the cruelty of the world has become his strength, allowing him to protect those closest to him. Akira, this time actually standing on business, radiates the hell out of main character energy. This man lifts up a tank truck to launch at the creature. A gigantic explosion follows as the creature eviscerates from the attack. Akira implores the monster to try and regenerate again. He realizes that plants are weak to flames no matter the timeline, and ultimately defeats the creature at last. Akira has reclaimed victory, jumping up 6 levels all at once. On this night, he has learned that staying weak implies that he will be unable to protect the people important to him. Chanting status, Akira upgrades his physical enhancement skill, ready to face the wolves that have come to hunt him. Akira, who has been preyed upon by the predators of the world, has not vowed to do everything in his power to hunt the monsters instead. Akira's next opponent is a giant centipede, whom he slaughters with a single punch, thanks to his physical enhancement upgrade. Akira did die 3 more times after he defeated the Man-Eater. However, he's reached level 25 and has many ways to go before ranking up his skill again. Akira is sure that the 3rd upgrade will ensure his victory against the Minotaur monster. However, he's facing the problematic requirement of upgrading 20 levels. Akira knows that quest rewards will promise him the fastest level increases. However, he still doesn't have any other quest apart from defeating the Minotaur. He wonders why he hasn't gotten any since the goblin subjugation. There's also the fact that Akira has conquered all monsters in the city apart from the Minotaur. Right now, he wonders if there are skills that will allow him to excel in his strengths. Akira learns that Mana Circuit is available, and almost thinks that the advantages are too good to be true. After acquiring the Mana Circuit, Akira has gained a new stat. He thinks that he'll be able to defeat the Minotaur if he strengthens his mana skill with a few more levels. Akira's grinding session begins, and after 23 deaths, he acquires the Hunter Trophy. Finally, the man has reached level 30 after 24 deaths. He reincarnates in the office, relaxed more than ever. Nanase is shocked to see the upgrade in his physique. Akira boldly tells Nanase how grateful he is to follow her words of encouragement. Nanase gets embarrassed when Akira requests her to stay in the building after he's done. After leaving such a vague hint, Akira proceeds to execute a mission that he's been itching to finish from the beginning. His man stat has increased to 6 points. The only weapon that Akira can reliably count on is his fists. Akira purchases a particular skill and thinks that the moment of truth is sure to come after the hours he has put in his training. On his way back, nothing has changed. Everything that began from the record of the first death is just the same. The system generates the C rank quest again. The Minotaur approaches Akira, who still feels immense pressure from even facing the creature. Fear engulfs Akira's body tenfold. The fear of how many times he had lost his life in painful ways at the hands of this monster. The Minotaur releases a mighty swing, but Akira is faster and has already memorized the creature's attack patterns. Akira slides down before releasing a punch so powerful that it knocks the monster greatly. Akira's revenge arc starts from this moment, a favor that he has been so desperate to return to the creature. Nanase hears the sound of a clash outside and feels fearful of the implication of Akira's words. The epic battle between Akira and the Minotaur is underway. Akira is able to interpret the creature's attack patterns, but he's barely able to avoid any of the blows. Akira gets caught up by a painful swing. Each of the monster's attacks is nearly lethal to Akira because of his low endurance. Akira accepts the reality and thinks that he's forced to use his final skill. Deploying the sprint skill with a 60-second time limit, Akira taps into inhuman speed and delivers a punch so powerful that it twists the Minotaur's head. Akira had efficiently used his previous attack, allowing for a rebound strike. Akira returns the monster with a powerful gut punch, launching him into the building. Akira realizes just how broken his sprint skill is. He can increase his speed using his mana stats. Despite that, he only has 60 seconds to end the battle. In the few seconds that he has left, Akira blitzes the creature with hundreds of attacks, all of which are unable to deliver the killing blow. Akira knows for sure that defeat awaits him only once his skill runs out of time. He tries to look for another way, and launches the Minotaur out of the building. Akira chases after the creature, aiming to end this battle with his final punch. Akira's thunderous punch pummels the Minotaur into the steel pipes, impaling the beast in several ways. He's confident of his victory, now that the boss monster has finally been defeated. Akira takes a moment to rejoice and rest. He wants to take a moment to catch his breath before returning to Nanase. Well, that's what he thought, at least, until he realized that the system still hasn't marked the quest as completed. The Minotaur that he thought was dead is actually so resilient that it got up after facing tons and tons of battle damage. The Minotaur prepares for an attack, forcing Akira to tap into his sprint skill again. The Minotaur charges his strength, and all of a sudden, Akira is tossed into the city like a meteorite. The people gather around to see the remains of a person. They think it's a terrorist attack, and worry for the man's health. Akira questions how he's even alive. He can't see or feel anything, despite using his sprint ability. Akira thinks that it must have something to do with the creature's paralyzing roar. Time is of the essence as the Minotaur approaches Akira. The people think it's some kind of CGI effect and try to film the creature. It's only when a woman is chomped before their eyes that these brain-rotted lunatics comprehend the gravity of the situation before them. The policemen get ready to shoot down the creature. Akira accepts his defeat, knowing that he can't defeat a behemoth of destruction like that. He thinks that his entire life has been about messing up the things most important to him. And now, Akira is sure that all of the people in the city will die because of his own weakness. He doesn't have the skills or the strength to protect the ones that truly matter. The Minotaur approaches Akira, ready to deliver the finishing blow. Suddenly, the creature is struck by a stone. Nanase is there to save Akira, despite being scared shitless herself. The monster turns to her, while Akira begs Nanase to run away, while she still can. Nanase tells him that it's her duty to protect her subordinates no matter what. Get a woman caring for you like Nanase cares for Akira, the greenest flag ever. It's only logical that Nanase is sure to die. Akira compels every last fiber of his being in order to remember the reasons for fighting. He thinks that it wouldn't matter if he's the only one left. Akira channels the power of love, something that helps a dude conquer the world if it comes down to it. In the few milliseconds of his sprint skill, Akira bets everything on this one final attack. Akira's entire body is facing the brink of collapse, and yet he thinks that he's still alive, so there's a chance to save Nanase. Akira launches himself in an all-encompassing final attack. The Minotaur grabs Nanase's head. Akira sees memories of his cherished superior flashing through his mind. He feels even more compelled to save her and reaches for the Minotaur's battle axe. Using the creature's own weapon, Akira swings the axe at the final millisecond, severing apart the monster in two with a powerful slash. With its body split in two, Akira is the victor. Fun fact, if you noticed, it's also poetic, because Akira's body was split in half in his first few deaths against this monster. Good parallel. Nanase and the others are equally as shocked. The man had saved them from the wrath of the Minotaur. The crowd celebrates Akira Ichijo's victory, and the system rewards him for 50 quest points after completion. He has not only won people's hearts, but also leveled up immensely and acquired all of the skill points. Akira takes a breath of relief, finally realizing that his efforts have been rewarded. He loses consciousness while Nanase latches onto him. She weeps, seeing his sorrowful state. Akira claims that he's got a really crazy story to tell her, but they first need to catch a drink. The system, now that Akira has achieved an incredible feat, grants him a secondary effect to his regression skill. He has gained an inventory as well as a scenario feature. Governments across the world are falling one after the other at the height of the monster invasion. 3 million people have already died in Japan. Humans have begun tapping into systems. Two men discuss their chances of recruiting Akira, who defeated the Minotaur on the day of the monster's arrival. Akira's grown popular on the news. Right now, he's in lousy shape, resting in the hospital bed. Even when he's injured, he thinks that Nanase should have the apples instead of him. press W in the comments to appreciate this man's character. Akira's battle rendered him bedridden for 2 whole days. He's in a safer hospital than the other locations. Unfortunately, the internet services have also stopped working. Humans have begun to discover the status feature, making it a crucial part of their survival. Akira questions Nanase's level and wakes her from her nap. Nanase is really tired and proceeds to sleep again. Akira's next most significant problem is the progression of the inversion rate. With the inversion rate rising exponentially in days, Akira has learned that the inversion rate has slowed down because of the Minotaur quest. He thinks that it must have reduced the inversion rate to some extent. That means if the boss monsters have yet to be defeated, the inversion rate will speed up, enhancing the monster's abilities beyond reasonable levels. Akira knows that there must be a hero to take charge against the bosses, but that hero at the moment is none other than him. He's only got his focus on protecting Nanase, and has no thoughts of becoming a hero in his previous battle. He's grateful enough that Nanase is alive. A sleepy Nanase gets on top of his bed, making this man flustered as hell. She sleeps soundly, so Akira doesn't want to disrupt her. Akira checks his status and learns that he has unlocked inventory and scenario features. He inspects the inventory function and sees a bunch of emptied items. Akira tries it out by putting his smartphone in the inventory, except it's weird because the phone is still in his hand. At the moment, he doesn't know what the inventory is for. He checks the scenario feature next and learns that there isn't anything available yet. Both of the features that Akira unlocked are useless for the time being. For the juicy part of his progress, Akira wants to use the saved points to gear up on his skills. He is surprised to learn that his mana stat decreased by 1 point. He wonders if his regeneration is manual when it comes to using his sprint ability. This also means that the mana points are the number of times Akira is capable of using a particular skill. He wants to prioritize mana recovery and healing skills. Akira boosts his mana recovery, his recovery, physical enhancement, and finally, sixth sense. These 4 upgrades will allow him a bunch of benefits, helping him heal from his burnout state. Akira spent 30 points on upgrading physical enhancement. He thinks that the current level should be enough to fight high-level monsters. Akira's final skill, the sixth sense, allows one to strengthen one's intuition. This will help him make decisions in times of chaos. With only 2 points left, Akira thinks that he should add them to his mana stat. However, he's pretty surprised when he learns that the mana points additionally increased by 6 more points. He wonders if the conversion rate is different. Akira's plan is to go for a DPS physical-focused build. With his strengths increased, he usually wants to recover. Nanase suddenly wakes up embarrassed, not knowing how she came on top of Akira's bed. Akira asks if she plans to get off, but Nanase tells him that she really doesn't want to. Saying those words, Nanase draws near his face. Just when they're about to kiss, Second Lieutenant Karube barges inside and realizes that he's interrupting a special moment. Karube wants to leave at once, making both of them embarrassed as hell. They're both probably thinking, "Fudge you, Karube." Just like all of us, having successfully cock-blocked them. Karube explains that the JSDF is collaborating with Nanase, as well as other civilians to protect the hospital. Akira is surprised, while Nanase explains that the JSDF is facing a shortage of personnel. Karube exclusively thanks Akira for defeating the Minotaur, as his actions have saved many lives. Karube even calls him their savior, and the man who has reinvigorated the hope of humanity. 100% deserved. Like this video for this guy. After buttering him up, Karube claims that they have a request for Akira. Another soldier enters the room, surprised that Akira is only level 9, and way too weak to beat the boss. The man thinks that Akira's been out of commission for a while. Makamoto makes light of Akira, and openly calls Akira disappointing. However, this disgusting scumbag is a simp for Nanase, and she doesn't even know how to talk to women. Makamoto disgustingly declares that he'll marry Nanase. The dude's negative 3000 aura and anti-riz physically repulse Nanase. Makamoto states that the inversion rate will strengthen the monsters even more, and someone like Akira can't protect Nanase. Makamoto acts like a hot shot, being at level 25 and the strongest in the hospital. He forces his hand upon Nanase, to which Akira politely responds by gripping his hand tightly. Akira's attempt angers Makamoto for a moment. This man gets put in his place at the bottom when Akira nearly rips off his wrist. This monstrous strength is beyond Makamoto's calculations. Then, he finally sees Akira's unbelievable stats, thinking of him as a god who is going to kill him. Makamoto pusses the F out, knowing this man is way out of his league. With the nuisance gone, Akira commands Karube to return to the topic regarding the requests. Karube explains their desperate situation against the monsters. He thinks that they've spotted a boss monster approaching the hospital, a being so powerful that it could quickly destroy the structure. Karube begs Akira to defeat the monster. This falls in life within Akira's expectations, but Nanase responds realistically that Akira hasn't even recovered from his previous injuries. Karube pleads that this is their only shot at defeating the monster. They already know that Akira's status is beyond the level of everyone else. Karube's only request is that he save the people who survived the incident. Without having much say in the matter, Akira accepts. Nanase is alarmed, while Karube thanks him. In his room, Akira thinks that the boss monsters are probably incapable of being beaten by any other person apart from him. Nanase states that not only does Akira have to constantly die to survive the time loop, but now, after defeating the monster, he's still forced into fighting similar creatures. She thinks that it's cruel for him to not get any rest at all. Akira smiles and tells her that he's actually given up once fighting before. But during that moment, Nanase's encouraging words allowed him to regain his spirit. Akira states that he'll do whatever he can to protect the people he loves. He assures Nanase that he'll beat the boss. Nanase states that she'll fight the boss with him. Akira thinks it's unreasonable, and even though she acknowledges her being a deadweight, Nanase doesn't want to leave Akira's side. She begs him to bring her along, and that's when Akira's system reacts and reveals the first scenario. The scenario includes Nanase's cooperation with him to hunt boss monsters across the world. The choice is optional, but through accepting the scenario, each time Akira dies, Nanase will also be affected by the same regression skill, allowing the both of them to maintain their memories and experiences. Nanase asks what's wrong. Akira faces difficulty in explaining the event. Nanase realizes the scenario was triggered by her wanting to help him. She's also aware that she'll be revived after death, making their companionship reliable. Nanase tells him to accept the scenario. Akira reminds her that regression isn't fun as games like she's treating it. Nanase states that she's unwilling to change her mind. Akira thinks she's stubborn and wonders if she'll experience the torture of death if he lets her be. Akira decides to accept the scenario, and immediately they're tasked to defeat the boss monster. Akira states that it's good for them to share their abilities for practical cooperation. Shockingly, Nanase is also level 16, and shouts at him for peeking at her skills. Nanase tells him that Akira is pretty famous for being the so-called bull guy. She shows him a shot of his death glare at the camera before losing consciousness. Nanase's fondness for the cool nickname embarrasses him. Akira asks about the kind of skills she's acquired. Nanase tells him that she's also got physical enhancement, a mana circuit, and finally, elemental magic. The magic allows her to shoot a shock arrow with varying damage. Akira asks if the mana consumption will be affected after skill activation. Nanase tells him that the more magic she uses, the more her body will get fatigued. This is different from the way Akira's mana skill works. He tells her that the upcoming battles will involve him being on the front lines, while Nanase will support Akira. She asks if Akira will be alright, and Akira states that it will be okay, as he's feeling good enough to move. Nanase exits his room after saying goodnight. The inversion rate of the world has increased to 3%. Nanase is by herself when Karube sees her all alone outside. Karube states that he's also on duty to take care of the nocturnal monsters. He's worried about Akira's health. Nanase is annoyed because Akira always puts others ahead of him. Karube mentions that Nanase is genuinely in love with him. Nanase tries to shrug off the feeling, stating that Akira probably doesn't think of her that way. Suddenly, a creature with incredible speed attacks Nanase. The scene switches to Akira, who is thinking about defeating the boss at all costs. He believes that it will be easier now that Nanase is acting as a support. Suddenly, the system relays the notification of Nanase's death, triggering the reincarnation at once. Akira loses consciousness after learning of Nanase's death, meaning that even if one of them dies, the other is bound to go down with them. Akira wakes up in the hospital bed, remembering his memories. It's interesting that he's here instead of his original checkpoint at the office. Akira wonders if it has anything to do with the defeat of the boss monster. He's really frustrated because he had only just sworn to protect Nanase, and she's already dead. Nanase comes looking for him. Akira asks what happened. Nanase explains that she and Karube were attacked by monsters at night. Akira inquires about the identity of the monster. Nanase's body shudders in fear and despair. She can't even describe the beast other than it being covered in black. Nanase woke up at the main entrance after the skill activation. Akira thinks that they'll be attacked tonight by the monsters following what happened. Nanase apologizes for causing him to relapse. Akira believes that it wouldn't have mattered as the checkpoint has changed. While he doesn't know the reason, he's sure that they should prepare for the monster invasion. Akira thinks that their current chances are slim since both of them carry the risk of regression. Not only that, Akira always gets reset to his compromised body, which hasn't fully healed. He wonders if he can protect Nanase at his current strength. Akira strengthens his resolve and refuses to make Nanase experience another death. That night, shirtless Akira, with the Greek god physique, tells Nanase that he's ready to go. He wants Nanase to wait in the meantime. Akira finds himself lost in the giant hospital. He thinks it's usual for him to get lost in hospitals and tries to memorize the path before the attack. Suddenly, a loud alarm triggers, signaling the monster invasion. A man begs for someone to fight the monsters that have appeared in front of the main entrance. The JSDF men are defending against the black wolves, but they're too much for them. Akira realizes that the same wolves might have attacked Nanase. He's struck by confusion because the monsters shouldn't be attacking so soon. Akira realizes that interacting with Karube must have tampered with the invasion. He tries to hurry. Karube and his men are barely holding on against the onslaught of the Black Wolves. Their stronghold gets destroyed as the Black Wolves attack Karube. Karube holds his own and tells his men to return to formation. Or that's what he thought, because his unit had already been shredded to pieces while he was holding off just one wolf. Karube believes that it's literally impossible to win in this situation. He refuses to lose hope, but hope can only take him so far. Karube is ruthlessly stricken down, and that's Akira, who comes with a mighty kick and obliterates the Black Wolves in a single attack. He apologizes for being late and tells Karube he'll take care of the rest. Akira sees the boss monster and thinks that it'll serve as an excellent warm-up to him. The three-headed Cerberus faces the human. Nanase comes running to Karube's aid. She sees his injured body. Karube tells her that Akira is taking care of the boss monster at present. Akira faces trouble avoiding the multi-headed monster's blows. Akira ends up getting caught by the creature's attacks. The soldiers think that it's their demise as their savior has been defeated. However, Akira is revealed to be efficiently handling the creature's paw with just one hand. He states that his latest physical enhancement upgrade is really helping him out. The only thing left for him to test is the result of his strength stat. Before ending the creature's life, Akira remarks that the boss monster was responsible for killing Nanase in the previous round. As if to say the biggest FU ever, Akira throws a punch so strong, it one-shots the boss monster. The soldiers celebrate Akira having defeated the creature. Nanase notices Akira's trembling, blood-stained hand. Akira plans to take down the remaining creatures, realizing that his injuries are catching up to his body. Suddenly, immense pressure succumbs to the battlefield, something so powerful that even Akira is reminded of the fear of the Minotaur. That's how Akira learns that the opponent he just fought wasn't the boss at all. The real boss monster is a creature far more terrifying than anything he's ever faced. Akira has a low chance of defeating something like that in his current condition. The Black Wolves decided to snatch the fallen humans and scatter. Akira realizes that they're just collecting some food for the time being. However, it was also a warning to state that they could be killed at any time the boss monster chooses. With 7 casualties among the JSDF members, Akira acknowledges their flailing numbers in fighting the boss monster. He has to confront the creature, or they will all die soon. Akira considers it relieving the fact that the Black Wolves haven't grown too strong, even through the inversion rate. Nanase apologizes for being a weak deadweight. Akira tells her that they haven't even defeated the true boss yet. Akira thinks that they should react the same as the previous round in the upcoming lives. This way, they will ensure the monster raid gets delayed, instead of being influenced by their actions. Nanase cares for his bleeding fist. Akira's healing factor kicks in, and he believes it will be troublesome to fight monsters using bare hands. Akira wonders if there is a weapon he could use. Suddenly, he spots a hooded figure dismembering the wolf and extracting materials. Akira relates the situation to a game's battle. Akira approaches Kashiwaba, who is startled by his sudden approach. The chick recognizes him as the bull guy. Akira requests that she make weapons for him, but unfortunately, she doesn't have the skills necessary for the job. Akira apologizes and tries to leave. Kashiwaba is surprised because he hasn't thought about using the Minotaur's axe. Akira suddenly recalls that the only reason he defeated the strengthened boss was his OP weapon. Kashiwaba tells him that it's still in the central city and its weapon stats are off the charts. Kashiwaba reveals that even weapons have stats and asks if she should explain further.